RuneScape 3's month ahead for August has dropped. Plugins, leagues, and more. I'm a brand new player to the RS3 world. And for the last 5 months, I've been going through my RS3 journey as a longtime old school guy with over 2,200 total level, completely unguided. I don't use the wiki or watch videos. I ask people in game and I figure everything out myself. I love going through these month ahead videos with you to share my opinions as a new player. So if you enjoy that, sit back, grab your drink. What are you sipping on? And let's get into this. I have no idea what's going to be said in this video except plugins, leagues, and more. So let's see what it's all about.
Hey there, Scapers. Mod Ryan and myself are back with another month ahead. An opportunity for us to chat about the month that has been and the month that is coming up. Let's start with the API and plugin projects. Can you tell us a little bit more about Leagues Equilibrium and its theming? So there's been a lot of speculation as to what you might have actually been talking about.
Woo! All right. I would get so hyped for these. They do such a great job in the intro here.
Hello, Mod Ryan.
Hey,
Good to see you again.
good to see you.
Now, we are going to flip the format this time around. I'm going to talk about what's coming up first, and we'll get into the review section later on. It's just a little experiment to see what our viewers are actually interested in the most.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the API and plugin project, something we're all very excited about.
Oh, man.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's been going on with that recently?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole ton that's been going on behind the scenes for the API plugin project. We've just finished rounding out the team, hiring in a technical community manager and a plugin moderator, which gives us the full well-rounded team to deliver on everything we need. We've been working a lot with the developers, like community developers in a sort of a closed environment, working on some really awesome, like foundational work for plugins.
Yo, it's really happening. It's really going to happen. We're going to get plugins for RS3. What plugins are you most excited about? I have a few that come to the top of my head. They're super simple ones, but man, they just help so much. Tile markers. I just love me some tile markers, especially when I'm in an AFK loop, some sort of skilling loop. I love being able to have some tile markers. And then menu entry swapper, just swapping the order of the menus. Nothing is more iconic to me, or one of the most iconic moments in my unguided journey was just leveling my fishing in the early stages, you know, lobsters and swordfish, and every single time when I was doing swordfish, having to right-click the spot and scroll down to harpoon. Whereas in old school, you can just flip it to just make it harpoon first, you just left-click it, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited for two of those, just as some nice quality of life changes. The other one that I personally need, as someone who freaking hates farm runs and the player-owned farm, I'm just not into it. I'm trying to get into it. I know I need to. As an Iron Man, I'm screwed if I don't. But I wish I had some sort of like timer tracker with the farming stuff. I think that would be really helpful. It's so handy in old school for farm runs, birdhouses, etc. But I want to know what you think.
Keep that under wraps, I think, at this stage. I'm not too sure how much I can talk about that, but there's some really awesome stuff going there, like just seeing some of the examples that we're getting out of the plugin support that we've been offering. They're working really closely with our team. You know, we need these features, this is how we can make it work. And it's really a massive collaborative effort to make.
You know, this, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's going to be so crazy buggy at first. It's going to be like a nightmare. I don't know. I'm not usually a pessimist about things, but this seems like, I mean, I'm no developer. I don't, you know, I make videos and I can do edits, I guess, but I just feel like a project like this going into a game like RS3, it's going to be a big buggy mess with tons of glitches and issues at first. Let's hope it's not. I'm sure they're going to do a crap ton of testing beforehand. We'll see. I don't know. Do you share the same opinion? Let me know.
Sure that when we do release the API plugin to the wider audience, that essentially they have all the ability, the features to do everything they want to do with it. And when we announced our API project, there was one plugin above all that we knew players really wanted to see. One that would be a game changer for RuneScape, and one that would make RuneScape more accessible than ever. So yeah.
They're going to say Quest Helper, guaranteed.
Yes, it's finally happening. Quest Helper is coming to RuneScape. We've got a sneak.
Oh, man, I called that one. Well, your boy will not be using Quest Helper, that's for sure. And if you're new to my channel, or you don't come to my live streams, I live stream every week, by the way. You hear me talk about this a lot, but I have personally, as an old school guy, have fallen in love with RS3. Almost, not entirely, but a huge chunk of that has been from taking my sweet ass time with the quests and not looking up guides and being confused, really immersing into the dialogue. It makes questing go from the worst thing ever to like one of the best parts about the game, honestly. Now, clearly that opinion is not shared by most, but I also don't think most people have given it a fair try. In 2026, you know, it's all about rushing to end game, min-maxing your way, like the entire journey of any game you play. And I just feel like this world has not been built for that. But if this brings more people to the game, who am I to say that that's a bad thing?
Sneak peek at it in its early days, but what's especially awesome about this is that the 3 developers
Oh man, I'm not looking forward to this quest, dude. This one, Unguided, is going to be crazy. Stay tuned.
from the respective Alt 1, Bolt, and old school RuneScape
I just did this quest Unguided. This is the Iclarin's Little Helper. Dude, this puzzle, this literally took 3 clicks. You don't need a quest helper for this one.
quest helpers have come together to collaborate on creating this awesome plugin for RuneScape.
For Elvarg,
This
come
is gonna
on.
be huge, and we just cannot wait to fully reveal this in the future. A couple of the other sort of like high-level plugins that we're really looking at, a really notable one is Menu Entry Swapper, something that we know our players have asked
Let's
for a very
go.
long time. Allows you to swap, you know, if the
Oh,
first
wow.
section you want to swap it.
Oh, check that out. That is super cool. It's like coming up as almost like an in-game UI interface. Well, I guess that's how it is in old school too. But the old school interface is just, yeah, this is a really clean way of implementing that in. I love that they're staying consistent with, you know, just the in-game graphics and UI systems. Now, not every UI system in RS3 is like really great, but this looks nice, simple, easy to use. Love it.
To drop, or you want to swap it to teleport, whatever it may be on an item. That's a really awesome plugin as well. A couple of others, tile markers, entity hider. It's kind of insane actually to see these coming.
They're all, dude, they're all the main ones that like really, really matter. They have demos of them right now. So it's not, you know, when he said that, oh, we got the team together finally, like we're starting to work on it. They've clearly been working on it. This is way farther ahead than I was expecting personally.
Together, just the examples. We never really expected this to happen in RuneScape, I'd say a few years ago. And seeing it now, it's like, yeah, it's night and day, and I can't wait to see that sort of go out. In the not so distant future, we're going to be opening up the API dev environment to the wider public. So we're going to see a whole range of new ideas coming in as well. And I can't wait to see that. Like getting.
I've already had a few folks in my live streams, in my Discord, talk about wanting to make plugins, and I think that's such a cool thing. I mean, I have no idea what that entails, but the possibilities are endless, and the future is looking bright.
Involved with the community and seeing what the community want to create, essentially. Make RuneScape the great game that we all know it is, and the better game from the API plugins.
Thank you very much. And there you have it. That's the latest on the API project. Do keep an eye.
So no like release date or anything like that. I mean, I can't tell based off of what they showed. Are we months away still? Weeks away? I don't know. What do you think?
On our blog and social channels, as we'll be talking a bit more about this in the near future. Next, let's talk about the Hardcore Iron Man leaderboard. This is actually a leaderboard that has had a long-standing issue with data corruption for a number of years now, and we're
I was very unaware of this.
finally taking the time to tackle that. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so essentially there was a bug that I believe we fixed last year, whereby if and when you died, essentially the way hardcore high scores work, it cements you in that place on the leaderboards as it transitions you over to being a regular Iron Man. However, there was a bug whereby when you died, instead of it being your stats that were cemented, it was essentially a random other player's stats, which has essentially meant the high score has a whole range of accounts that are just corrupted. They're not the right place, they're not the right stats for the accounts that were there. So we are looking to restore that essentially by removing all those corrupted accounts, because since the bug has been fixed, there are valid entries on there.
Sounds like a pain in the ass.
Amongst the corrupted ones. So essentially doing a nice sort of cleanup, removing all the corrupted ones so that the high scores are in a correct state going forward.
Lovely.
Cool.
And how does that...
You know, I think that's great, especially for, you know, high scores in general. Like, you know, it's like a touchy topic in the RuneScape space, especially in RS3, specifically just because of, you know, if you're not an Iron Man, you're a main account, like, you know, you can get 200 mil XP and everything, but like, you know, you could have lamped the whole way, treasure hunted most of the way. A lot of those things have now been removed, but the history of all that still remains. And so I think a lot of folks are of the opinion that high scores like don't matter as much. But for something like Hardcore Iron Man, there's got to be a much more like a, you know, that's got to matter. And especially for ranking Iron Man, which is something I didn't know, by the way. I didn't know that you had to like select whether you're like competitive Iron Man or not competitive. I don't remember ever doing that personally. But for example, my Iron Man character can do the holiday events that give like very easy passive XP and skills. I personally leveled my Herblore from like level 7 to like level 60 over the course of the spring event, the Easter event, by doing like a very easy AFK thing. If I could go back, I would change that and undo all my progress there personally. But for people that want to get ranked on the leaderboards, apparently you can't get XP from those events. And I'm like, damn, I should have made it a competitive account when I made it. But, you know, maybe that's something for the future. But anyway, this is cool that they're trying to restore some integrity to the high scores list. I think it would incentivize others to maybe even try hardcore Ironman, maybe more of the veteran players. I mean, someone like me who's very new to the game, does not interest me whatsoever. I love that there's some integrity to high scores being restored. Don't you agree?
Fit in with our road to restoration ambitions and sort of philosophy.
Road to restoration is not just about what's going on in game, it's also what's going on, I want to say, like outside of the game. Like generally speaking, just looking at RuneScape as a whole, restoring everything and anything, and really just making the gameplay experience the best it can be. So
Good.
Part of that for the Iron Man example is the high scores. That is an important part as well. So
yeah, it is.
Just be sort of open to like more things going on that aren't just all in the game as well.
Now, the biggest thing happening in August, maybe even in the year so far, is the release and launch of League's Equilibrium. Can you tell us a little bit more about League's Equilibrium?
So I've gotten quite a few comments about this in my live streams and also under my quest videos, but guys, I'm not participating in leagues. You know, when they say this might be the biggest event of the whole year, I do have a bit of FOMO. I really do. It does sound really fun, but for the integrity of my own experience, how much I have fallen in love with the game and how much I'm playing right now because of my pacing and how I'm approaching things, leagues will taint that for me. Like, I just know that it will. Is there a place for leagues for me probably next year? I think so, for sure. But right now, it's just not, I don't want it to ruin a lot of the experience and joy that I've had so far. And I really think it will. I think it will make going back to my current main account feel weird and bad and make me not want to play as much. So you guys enjoy leagues and tune in for non-leagues content over the course of leagues from me.
And its theming.
This time around, Leagues 2 Equilibrium, as you say.
By the way, this is my first look at anything leagues related. I literally haven't watched any of the videos because I'm like, I'm not going to do it. So I'd rather spend my time doing my quest videos or, other stuff. So I'm learning all this fresh right here. Mushroom hats.
Is about Gothics, essentially, and balance. And a lot of green is the theme for this one in terms of colors. We learned so much off Catalyst the first time we ran a league around what players did and didn't like. And this one really just takes all of that feedback and applies learnings across the board. We've split relics out into relics and blessings, where blessings...
So I heard Leagues 1 was okay. I didn't hear that it was amazing. I heard it was a little bit slower paced. And it seems like they're going to be really ramping it up this time around.
They're all focused on the combat buffs so that you can get into, essentially you can get overpowered sooner. In previous leagues, it was often commented that it took a while before you felt that sort of power increase. There's way more auto quest completions. There's region locking if you're familiar with old school. And this sort of
nice
balance nature.
The region locking in the old school leagues, because I did play old school leagues, and leagues in old school is great for me because I'm a long time old school guy. I wanted a new way to play the game. Right now, RS3 is so new to me, playing it normally is a new way to play for me. I'm not looking for a new experience. I did not enjoy the region locking. I really didn't. For me, it ended up having me do basically multiple accounts to try to experience things differently. You basically had to say, okay, do I want to be melee focused, range focused, or mage focused? And here's the 3 regions you pick. And I did not like the region locking personally. I think that's not the majority opinion, though. I think a lot of people like that choice mattering, but I'm such a believer that in temporary game modes, literally let loose. Just freaking, let it all happen all at once. Let it be insane, crazy, one-shot everything. It's a temporary mode. That's just my opinion.
Applies as well to the relic system. As you progress through it and you unlock relics, the choices you make have a result on what happens for your god relic. So if you choose to be chaos aligned, then you will earn essentially the god tier for chaos relics as you progress. It's a different spin on Leagues 1, takes everything that players said that they wanted us to work on and improve and has done all of it. So it should...
what more can we ask for there? Jagex, especially these last couple months, has been doing an immense job of listening to player feedback and implementing it as quickly as possible. Just the other day, I made a video talking about the new player-owned housing cosmetics that you could purchase. And you can only purchase when you buy the bundle. It would only give you one of each item. They're apparently changing that. They heard the feedback and instantly are like, okay, cool. We'll make it so that it's unlimited. Like, how freaking cool is that? And so this would make me think that all of the negative feedback from Leagues One, it's probably completely addressed here. It's probably going to be a freaking epic experience.
Like a massively refreshing experience. And equally as part of that, we are 7 months through Road to Restoration. So there's an opportunity here, like jumping into Leagues 2, you'll see a lot of these changes. You'll feel a lot of the changes that have happened this year. So yeah, really looking forward to this one.
Now, Ryan, when you jump into Leagues, do you have a particular strategy that you're going to follow and play along with?
So interestingly, as I'm I actually used to be quite a min-maxer, but with things like Leagues, I actually look at it more like just have a bit of fun and just pick what sounds fun in the moment, rather than looking like what's the most optimal route when it comes to relics or tasks.
Again, it's just that classic gamer mindset of being a gamer in 2026. Like the min-maxer approach, there's probably going to be people, but you know what? There's people that really do enjoy that as part of a League's experience, because sometimes, especially in these cases where like your regions matter, your choices matter, like it can make it so that you can make like mistakes in your builds, and if you don't have ways of resetting those things. So I think there's pros and cons to both strategies.
It's kind of the sort of thing where I think nowadays I actually just love seeing everyone else play.
For example, when I did old school Leagues, I did look up a guide on which areas to get for which relics in order so I could do high-end stuff, because I could never really do high-end PVM, and I was like, I don't want to screw up my build and not be able to do it well. I want to be overpowered so I can at least see these freaking fights. So that's what I did.
Everyone else taking their unique routes or their specific ones or following guides, and I'm just there to like enjoy what's going on around me. You know, it's more like a relaxing place for me to play. But yeah, that's my approach. How about you?
I'm actually going to try all the things that in the main game I just haven't yet had a chance to experience. I know there's so much out there, but I'm sort of going at the regular progression through the main game to get there. But of course, it's taking time. So I'll use Leagues a little bit of a like preview for what's in store for me.
Nice.
And just as a reminder, Leagues launches on August the 10th. If
4
you are
days
interested in
from
a
this
final
recording
reveal, we will be having a stream very soon, in just a few days' time. So do tune into that on the Twitch RuneScape channel, and we'll see you there. Looking beyond Leagues, we have Haven Hearth Part 2 and RuneFest coming up, both of which you announced in last month's
see y'all at RuneFest. Look for the tall guy with the long hair.
Month ahead, road ahead video, which I can't help but notice that I was not part of. I was sat here by myself, just waiting for you to join.
Just me on that one.
Just you. One of the key sections that our viewers picked up on in that particular video was a segment at the very end where you spoke about us planning something. Let's quickly remind ourselves what that section was.
In addition to great content, we have even greater ambitions for things that will put us firmly back on the map. So we're planning something. The ultimate reason to welcome back old friends and mentor new adventurers.
Okay, this has always been a bit of a kind of a mystery line. I feel like we've all been wondering like what that is. And I'm reacting to this video a day late, so I feel like a lot of you already know. But
while respecting the old guard and your desire to see your homeworld thriving again. This mission is about unlocking RuneScape's true potential, and you'll hear more about it later this year.
What is it?
There's been a lot of speculation as to what you might have actually been talking about. And I know we're not yet ready to speak about what it actually is, but I do think it is important to get into the why we're talking about these things, why we're having these thoughts.
So we're not okay, so we don't know yet.
I think that's something we should really spend a bit of time talking about today.
So, I mean, we know that a year ago or so, we set out to to go on the journey of Road to Restoration. We've been on that journey right now. We've made so many positive changes to the game. We're seeing so much positivity from the community. We're seeing green shoots in regards to players coming back into the game to play.
Yeah.
People saying, hey, I saw this and I want to get back in. Like, RuneScape is in a very good place today. Arguably, it's in one of the best places it's been in a very long time. However, we know that sort of like as meaningful as each of these updates are, whether it's like the mid-game rebalance as an example, daily scape overhaul, on their own, they're great, but they aren't something that sort of like attracts the wider player base. Those are that
like a mainstream audience.
Dude,
yeah, like
what is it going to be?
Anyone who is sort of let's say, left RuneScape for now and isn't playing RuneScape at the moment, there's not necessarily some of those things that they can pick up on. So we're really looking to have like one of those bigger moments. Even some of our bigger updates, like the construction rework, absolutely amazing. So many like sharing of.
The construction rework was a huge W. Like, that was a massive win. It actually makes construction fun. Like, and it makes designing a player-owned house not feel like a pain in the ass.
The houses and stuff that's going on, people really loved that one. It's also a really good opportunity, like, great for us. It has that as an update has actually expanded a little outside of our sphere. You know, we do have people from Old School or even some other games saying, hey, look, you know, I can't believe RuneScape's done that, which is really awesome. Haven Hive, amazing opportunity, amazing update for us. But that, again, as an area expansion, doesn't quite still break into that mainstream audience that you're referencing. That's okay.
That's good that they recognize that, because I think, yeah, the Haven High thing did feel a little lackluster. Now, we all know that it comes out in different parts, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't necessary. Like, there wasn't even enough stuff for early game players, which part 1 was designed for, to like have a big reason to come back for. We got a couple little quest lines that weren't all the way finished because it's in different parts, and a couple bosses that had like, you know, some loot drops, but like, yeah, it was not a big reason to like resubscribe to RuneScape. I mean, I had a great time, but I'm glad they recognize that. They seem to be very self-aware.
Okay, but we want to find something. We want to do something that can. We want to bring many people back to play RuneScape.
What is it going to be?
We know what an amazing game it is, and this is essentially about that.
So if we think about that within the context of this year, then we've basically been laying the foundation for the future then with the Road to Restoration, haven't we?
Yeah, essentially the Road to Restoration is a great opportunity to take a pause, clean up a number of things, restore the game to how we want it to be played and seen and, you know, experienced, and sort of acts as a bridge towards like that next chapter.
Dude,
and foundationally it is doing exactly that. Like I said, we're seeing people
What's it gonna be?
on the great things that are going on, and it's really starting, like, you can feel it, right? Like I can feel the momentum that we're picking up. And
big time.
Really, like, going into 2027 and beyond, like, it's going to be, I mean, I can't say much today. It's a bit more a RuneFest thing, but like, we are building towards the RuneScape that everyone wants to play, going back to our roots, really focused on
oh my god,
more of what everyone loves.
Bro, do you see these chills? Dude, this is so exciting. What could it be, man?
Making ourselves like unmistakably RuneScape. If you haven't played for a year, 3 years, 5 years, like in terms of like roadmap next year, you'll see things on there that you're like, I really want to come back for that. Like, I remember when, like the nostalgic elements. But like, we're thinking about the roadmap for next year, really focused on more of what people love, more of what people know.
That's the key challenge that a game like RuneScape, which is an ongoing game, faces, right? How do you reach player awareness who aren't tuned in any way, whether they've played RuneScape before or have never played it before? How do you grab them and tell them this is
that sounds impossible, honestly. You know, that's the thing with RuneScape, where like, it is such an old game, but it is so unique. But it's like, yeah, are we trying to pull like more millennials or like younger audience? Like, how do you bring in new people? Like, if you're, I don't know. It sounds like such a hard endeavor.
actually something worthwhile and paying attention to.
It's a tough one, truly. And we have a 25-year-old game with significant depth, which is a massive positive trait. Like, we're so fortunate to have that. Not many other games do. And we want to essentially pick that up and say to the world, look what's here, right? And that is often more than just the game content that's within it. You know, it's about how the game is played, what else goes on. It's not just every specific content update. Like I kind of mentioned before, a specific content update on its own doesn't necessarily like spread out to the wider world. It's really about some of its parts, like the big wrapper and how we put it together. And that's essentially what we're building towards.
So something like Treasure Hunter's removal that we did at the start of the year, for example.
Yeah, exactly like that. The impact that had for us in terms of putting RuneScape, you know, like I say, on the map,
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Once that happened, I was like, damn, it might be time to give this game a try again.
Wider world, essentially, that saw RuneScape, that maybe hadn't heard about it for a little while. That's what that moment did, and we're looking to replicate something like that so that we have more eyes on us.
So this is going to be huge.
Game that we have today.
So thinking a little bit more about this, what would you say is the key question that is really driving us in this moment?
There's a couple of them. First one being, what would genuinely attract the interest of new players or those that have left? And also,
I don't know. you know, maybe it's just my own genetic lack of intelligence, but I just don't know what would attract like brand new people who have never played this game ever. I don't know. You guys let me know. What do you think?
So what remaining barriers do we have that are stopping people either coming in or when they come in, bouncing out? And that's the sort of, you know, problems we want to solve, because that's where we believe there is genuine growth to build this community out.
All right, that about covers us for looking ahead. Now let's do a quick reflection on how July has turned out. At the beginning of July, we
the Sunlight Sands. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. Like,
released Sunlight Sands as our summer event hub. Players were kind of hoping for a complete reimagining of the beach.
dude, the icon there, the graphic for it is just so Fortnite-y. It's so non-RuneScape-y. It's the antithesis of everything that Mod Ryan was just talking about. You know what I mean?
So they were a little bit put out by Sunlight Sands feeling a bit familiar. From your point of view, what are your thoughts on the future of summer events and these kind of hubs?
It was our intention, you know, with the event to essentially replicate the beach, because we removed the beach from Lumbridge, and we essentially wanted to replicate it so that players could still earn all those rewards. We added.
I really liked that they removed the beach from the Lumbridge area and had it as its own little separate island, because then once you weren't doing your beach activities, I mean, I haven't been to the beach there in weeks, and I haven't even thought about it because it's not in my face, and I've been going to Lumbridge a ton. Having it not part of the main world was a really, really good choice.
A couple new rewards, right? But we weren't looking to invest a massive amount of time and resource into it. We're really focused on restoring the game. A lot of other stuff going on this year, right? Bigger projects that have been ongoing. And equally, that's kind of where we want events to sit.
Yeah, you know, it did feel like an event that like they didn't put a lot of time into, which was kind of a good thing, honestly. Like, it just felt like, oh yeah, here it is, like, you know, a couple activities. The XP wasn't great for those activities, you know, a couple new rewards. Like, okay, stick around for, you know, a couple days, get your thing and get out, because we're working on other stuff. It did give that vibe, and that feels good. It feels like they're like, yeah, we don't want to waste time like trying to make these things that we're trying to kind of move away from seem super, super important. I really appreciate that.
I mentioned when talking about Road to Restoration, something that you as players, there's a couple new rewards each year. You can jump in, get them, and then just leave and go back to doing what you want to do. Because we removed this.
Even as a player who didn't have any of the cosmetic rewards from previous times, I unlocked every single thing in the shop within like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days of not even doing the beach hardcore. I think I did the beach hardcore for like, I don't know, 10 hours max, maybe. But then I was also just doing my regular skilling stuff, because you still get the currency for that. I bought everything, no problem, within like a week. It was just super easy.
Sort of, I feel like I need to be at the event all month behavior. That's what the intention was. Generally.
And that was how the Easter event felt. And that felt bad. The XP rates at the Easter event were too crazy for me. And it looks like they really toned them down for the summer event, which was how it should have been. Because if not, my ass would have been still at the summer event to this day. And I'm glad I didn't have to spend more time there than just a couple days.
Speaking, quite happy with it. I think it is a change, which is why, of course, I can understand the sentiment from players, especially those who've already unlocked everything. Makes perfect sense. We'll just keep taking feedback from players, see how we can involve them going forward. Essentially work with the players on figuring out what's best for them, but mostly happy with it. I think there's still opportunities for tweaks here and there.
Let's chat about Play on House.
Yes, the big one.
The big one. Let's start with how it actually went.
So, fantastic release. I'm sure everyone can see, hear about it. It's everywhere. No matter where I look, there's someone else's house or garden or house that has no garden or football pitch.
Truly one of the best updates. And as someone who just has no interest really in like decorating and doing a lot of cosmetic stuff, I'm always in it for the gameplay and the dopamine hit of like numbers go up. Even I felt the need to like put some stuff in my house and make it look nice. They really killed it with the skybox and the background aesthetic. It felt very homely, very RuneScape-y. They nailed it.
Yeah, it's really creative seeing what people have done so far. In terms of just like some pretty cool stats to know about, on day one, I think it was around 153 billion gold was removed from the game via general store purchases, and it's about 15 times more than the normal average day. Yeah, as a whole, honestly, super.
From general store purchases, as in Like in-game general stores? What were people buying? I'm confused.
Like happy about the update, super proud of the team. And we really like showed what we could do in terms of innovating within that space, giving players the freedom to customize, even to the point.
You know, yeah, I really liked how there was, they kind of gave elements for everyone's sort of idea of what housing can be. Things like the stuff in here that doesn't really matter. It's like just to make it look nice and pretty. Some people love that stuff. But others, more like myself, you want to show off all of your achievements. And the way they had all the trophies shown and like the way you can display them, and the fact that it made so many long-term players go back and have to go kill old bosses to get the trophy drops. Like, what a cool way to get people into older content again.
Point where there's just crazy creations, right? Like seeing what people do. Some people are going for, I'm going to have 50 of this KBD trophy on my wall, to other people saying, I'm just going to have one of each. Really awesome update. It's a great evolution of...
I didn't realize you could get more than one trophy of the boss. You can get multiple trophies from the same boss. Even cooler, even more reasons to like, yeah, go back and do those old bosses again if you want to do something that looks like super insane in your house. Like it's Pandora's box there. Like it's just unlimited sort of freedom of how you want to design things, how you want it to look, and what you can do to make the house your own. Like what more could you want? What more could you want?
The construction skill and equally just the systems behind it, setting up the foundations for so much more to offer for the player and house in the future, how we offer more trophies, more furniture. Essentially, the possibilities are endless. And I think that's one of the awesome things about this. It's really set ourselves up for many things going forward.
So launch went really well, and then we followed that up with a few updates since then, haven't we?
Amongst all the regular fixes, a bit, like a few quality of life here and there, some of the bigger ones that have been worked on were being able to move rooms entirely, like pick the whole thing up and move it, customize your floor, edit room in general, like stand in a room, press edit. These are the sort of like foundational features that have the ability to add now since players have engaged with it. Moving a room is kind of insane. Like you literally pick the whole thing up, drag it wherever you want, rotate it, place it. It's insane tech.
Just insanely more intuitive and easy to use than the old clunky systems. And dude, I'm just thinking about old school construction. Oh, dude, just a nightmare to level. All that gold, just rebuilding the same piece of thing over and over again in your empty ass house. Oh, dude, this is so much better.
And I love it. But yeah, that should be live by the time this video goes live, I think.
The push to construction level 120 also included a little bit of rebalancing that we did afterwards. And players actually had a lot of thoughts about what constitutes AFK gameplay versus lean forward versus active. Fought for in 3 was brought up a lot here. I know that you talked a little bit about that, but could you tell us a bit more about your general thoughts on lean forward gameplay?
The interpretation that different people will have on what this means, but like from my point of view as creative director for RuneScape and given sort of the design direction, for years, or at least in recent years, we've done a lot of what I would call lean back gameplay. By nature, it's designed to be more AFK, something that you can, for example, use in Fort, something you can click, wait for a very long period of time. And we've added lean in elements.
I'm a big fan of lean back, personally, as someone who is constantly working on video edits and staring in front of the, working on the computer. Doing AFK stuff in RS3 has been a true joy. There's just so many more options for skilling that's more laid back that I just personally really, really love. And I appreciate too that there are more of those, like he's saying, lean forward ways of doing it. But I'm trying to think of how that works in construction. It doesn't seem that way outside of, because what it seems like is your construction XP is similar to how it's always been, where you can build like, if your inventory is full of 24 planks, you could build 3 or 4, like 6 plank things really quickly. Or if you want a slower one, you build 14 2-plank things. Or that math wasn't right, but you know what I'm saying. I'm curious to hear what he says.
To those, such as the optimal hotspot. Another good example, this is archaeology, where by nature, you click an excavation spot, you wait. If you want to lean in, you can chase the time sprite. That is lean in methods within an AFK designed bit of content. However, I know when players talk about like active methods, what does that mean as well? So like I've given a few examples recently around Fishing Frenzy at the Deep Sea Fishing Hub is purely active gameplay. The only way to interact with it is to click, 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 click. And even that level of activity is based on click intensity. There's a lot of clicking involved. And then there's other examples like Ceremonial Swords with smithing, whereby that's an active method. It's less click intensive.
I love the Ceremonial Swords. personally. I think it's a great way to break up the blacksmithing, because blacksmithing is so uber AFK, it's crazy. I love the swords.
But it's more mentally intensive. You have to think about what you're clicking, where you're clicking, calculating.
I'm much more a fan of the think and plan click rather than just like click, 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 click style. Personally, what about you?
How to essentially make the ceremonial sword. And those methods they are designed to be active methods. So I think when we were talking with the community recently, a lot of community picked up on sort of interpreting when we say lean forward for these methods we've been referencing as if we're like misunderstanding what we mean by active. Ultimately, I want us going forward to make sure that skills have choice, whether they are AFK methods, whether they're AFK methods with lean in elements, or whether there are just purely active methods. Realistically, all skills should have a range of this so that you have a choice, whether you're, me not so much right now, but when you're at work, if you want to play RuneScape on the side, do some AFK method. You head home in the evening and want to really engage, lean and do something active.
Dude, I mean, what more could we want? What more could we want as players? Just having that choice. Not feeling like, oh man, this skill sucks because it's an only active method. I'm looking at you, agility. I'm curious to see what that's actually going to look like for other skills in the future. Things like agility. But even having something like the rune span for rune crafting, like, dude, like things like that are why I love RS3 so much. You just get more choice, more options to have that AFK slower experience or that more active faster experience gameplay. I mean, that having the mix, that's what we need.
Ultimately, like the philosophy and sort of design direction is to introduce all of those elements to many skills so there are options.
So some players felt, with AFKing, it should be, 15 minutes and, you click once and you fire and forget.
Nah.
Active should be, you're constantly engaged, like you say. And the lean in, I suppose, for many players, they're not quite sure where it sits because it's, active every 3 minutes. And I suppose a little bit of the question is how long.
Dude, the lean in stuff is honestly awesome. Like I would say lean in is one of the edges that RS3 has is over old school. I'm trying to think of what old school lean in methods there are, but I'm thinking even within RS3 mining, like being able to get that huge critical hit with bonus XP every like 30 seconds on a rock when it changes places. Like you can choose to do that, but you don't have to. And it makes it fun to do that. It doesn't feel like it's taking away too much. They really nail it for things like that. And I feel like the challenge is going to be, seeing where that sits for different skills, where lean in feels more obligated, like you feel like you really need to, or if it doesn't matter at all. Like, I think mining is a good example where it fits really nicely, personally.
How long is AFK, right? How long is a piece of string? So in your mind, when we talk about lean in gameplay, what kind of behavior do you expect from players when they're engaging with it? So AFK is often second screen. What do you expect people to be doing when they're leaning in?
I will say AFK doesn't always need to be second screen. And to your point, it can differ in length of time. Like 15 minutes you use as an example is like the most extreme amount of AFK. Yeah. Being AFK for 30 seconds is also completely viable. And then when it comes to leaning in,
I don't know about AFK for 30 seconds. I'm more of a 45 seconds plus guy. In an ideal world, 60 seconds plus kind of guy. Just me personally.
There's a difference between leaning in because you want to optimize or leaning in because you need to. And what I mean by that is, let's use RuneSpan as an example. When it came out, it was considered an AFK way to train rune crafting. Today, though, a lot of people probably say, isn't that AFK? Actually engaging with...
It's really not that AFK. Like, that is more of those 30-second intervals that he's talking about there. That's why I don't do a lot of RuneSpan on my own, like when I'm editing or doing things like that, because it does feel pretty damn active at times.
With entities in RuneSpan isn't that long. It can range from a couple of seconds to, say, 30 seconds overall, but you aren't AFKing for multiple minutes. And that has a lot of elements where you have to jump islands if you want to optimize by finding the right nodes that you want to interact with. And that sort of lean in, that's like the lean in version of RuneSpan, but people wouldn't say that's active. RuneSpan is not an active rune crafting method. Running to altars, on the other hand, absolutely is, right? You're constantly running, teleporting, making runes, teleport back, bank, etc. It's very active. There is room for everything. And honestly, I think that all skills need a range of those, but not all skills need all this range on that spectrum. What I mean by that is pickpocketing, as an example, in thieving.
Love me some pickpocketing. My thieving is 110 for a reason. Wow, what a great... thieving in old school, or thieving in RS3 is one of the biggest highlights, in my opinion. It is such a fun thing to do. I never regret spending some time pickpocketing. And honestly, I'm sure other players will have done this, but I'm planning on doing this too. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of pickpocketing past 200 mil XP, honestly.
There's a longer AFK window. I do not think every skill needs a long AFK window, but I do think there's room for every skill to potentially have a more lean back AFK method. But yeah, lots of opportunities.
I agree with him here.
Love to hear more from the players, talk about what they love. Honestly, I'd love to hear what active methods people have loved in RuneScape over the years, whether that's in RuneScape or old school, and equally what are their sort of more favorite AFK methods, because even in the AFK field, it does differ a lot. Some feel better than others purely just based on the aesthetics, like where you are in the world and how does it feel. So yeah, love to hear from you all.
There was a lot of love
true how like the aesthetics play into the AFK feel. You'd think it wouldn't. You'd think it'd just be purely the gameplay. But yeah, like that's, I mean, there's a reason why when I'm, you know, often AFKing somewhere, like let's say I'm doing archaeology in one of the dark dungeons, I turn on the midday skybox because I want some light blue going into the dungeon. I haven't really thought about it. It's more subconscious, but I like that he brought that to life there. So some interesting projects for them to work on. I'm curious if you guys have any like specific skill, AFK, or lean-in methods that you've thought about over the years that haven't been implemented, that you've just has been on your mind. I'd love for you to share those.
Mid-game rebalance, but it's also fair to say that some folks were maybe a little bit disappointed that it didn't address everything that mid-game has with regards to issues. Can you tell us a bit more about those, perhaps?
As a new player who really found like the hiccups of, I mean, I'm early mid-game. Let's be real. My main hiccups came from fletching. Like that was like, in my mind, out of everything that like has been a problem, fletching was a big problem for me. Like I just didn't understand why it wasn't lining up with the other crafting skills, especially as an Iron Man who has to make his own equipment. So when they really just leaned into fixing that, dude, that was incredible. And now that I recently unlocked Invention, so apparently, and I didn't read this when I read the mid-game balance updates, apparently you used to be able to get bad perks when you were doing perks for Invention. As an unguided guy who's not going to be using any guides to learn how to make any of the perk stuff, the fact that they would add in negatively impacted perks to your augmented stuff, oh my god, that sounds awful, and I'm so glad they got rid of that. So, I don't know, I feel like they did a good job with the mid-balance update, personally from a new player's perspective.
Perhaps on how we approach the design philosophy for this one.
As you can imagine, solving the mid-game in one game update is not necessarily a possible thing to do.
True.
But when looking at all of these updates, early game, mid-game, late game, or just quality of life changes, fixes in general, there's a lot of like focus on what has good value to the players, what is the most meaningful thing, and thinking about prioritization.
Yeah, and that's like, I feel like they hit the most meaningful thing there right on the head, which was fletching.
And there's always a ton of things we could do. I think that for the mid-game rebalance, it hit a number of things really well, and to agree with some of the players, and maybe a few things it like missed and could have done better at. But that's all part of learning, all part of this restoration journey we're on.
Look at that like calm demeanor approach to that. Like that is just so, that's so alpha to just be like, yeah, you know, like we did our best. You know, obviously not everything was fixed, but we live, we learn, and we just try to do better next time. Like that's the jolly philosophy with everything. It's like, oh, you don't freak out about it. You don't get flustered. You don't stress out. You don't quit. Just like, okay, learning experience. All right, we'll get it next time. Love that.
And as I say, there's still more to do in terms of both early game, mid game, end game, essentially just RuneScape changes. Looking at the late game rebalance later this year will be a good opportunity to learn from some of the things we did in the mid game. I'd love to hear from players again about like what they want to see from these rebalances. Do they prefer breadth over like really detailed specifics? Because in this example, right, we did a lot of fletching changes as part of the fletching retiering that went in. So it's kind of like let's call it a small fletching rework was part of this update. Whereas maybe if we didn't do that, we could have done 30 more breadth changes. I'd love to know what players think. We really focus on what we think has the most value for all players, but
I don't know what else they could work on and change. Like, I'm just trying to think of where I'm like personally stuck. I don't feel stuck anywhere. I guess, and I know they just changed a bunch of agility courses, but dude, agility feels like such an old, outdated skill still. Like I don't want to do agility at all. I haven't touched agility since that spring event where I was AFKing a lot of the agility stuff. I don't know what the hell they're supposed to do there. I don't want to do Anachromangia's agility course over and over. I didn't even enjoy it the first time. That's where my hiccup is personally. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do to get agility to 75 for Song of the Elves.
There's definitely room for further improvements.
It's also worth considering, actually, that this isn't the only time in RuneScape's history that the mid game will ever be touched, right? We have opportunities to come back to it in future.
Absolutely. I think, like, from my perspective, I always want to see us making sure we're looking at RuneScape and taking action where necessary to keep on top of it. I've often used the phrase like weed our garden. Don't let the weeds grow too big. Make sure we're actively addressing it. I think things like drop rates are a really good one, where over the years we've released more and more content. And for example, there's a boss from 10 years ago that has the same drop rate that it had 10 years ago. But today, it's a piece in the journey that doesn't need to be as rare anymore. And I think those are things we should always keep on top of, making sure that we are keeping the game, let's say, up to date with the way in which
I mean, I'm always down for increased drop rates. Give me that dopamine hit.
it's played today. So yeah, definitely not the only update for it. And we will continue to keep doing this.
And that's about all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with us.
Okay.
We know you could have been doing anything with your time. And we really appreciate you choosing to spend it with us.
I wasn't
Do let
even
us know what you
AFKing.
enjoyed the most today, and we'd love to keep improving. With that said, good luck to all you scapers who will be joining us in Leagues 2 Equilibrium. We'll see you in Gillinor.
Good stuff. Hey, good update. I mean, what's there to be mad about anything they said there? Like, I think it's just going to be a really exciting time. I'm very curious to hear how Leagues 2 goes for everybody. If you're taking part in that, let me know, and I hope you genuinely have a really good time. And if you're looking for a break from the League stuff, I'll be continuing my unguided questing journey and live streaming through my unguided Iron Man as well. So I hope to see you guys there for that. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and be sure to subscribe for more new player RS3 content. If you're into that kind of stuff, thanks for hanging with me. If you made it to the end of the video, let me know down in the comments, what's your favorite fruit? You got a favorite fruit? Let me know. Don't tell anyone why you say what your favorite fruit is. All right, and I'll see you in the next video as we continue this adventure together.